what if I find a cheap, lean piece of meat? I add fat to it. Could I then pass that off as a high quality burger? Absolutely not, and we're gonna show you why. Not all burger is created equal. The muscles that you decide to put through your grinder to create that burger are going to give you very different results when it comes to flavor. Tenderness really doesn't play a role. You're not looking for the most tender cut to put through the grinder, but you do want flavor. Flavor is going to be coming from the fat content. Here at Flannery Beef, we think about a 20% fat content in a burger is really the sweet spot. You could argue though, what if I find a cheap, lean piece of meat? I add fat to it to kind of hit that level. Could I then pass that off as a high quality burger? If you're planning on doing something like a smash burger smothered with cheese and sauce, you've got a little bit more wiggle room in terms of what you're using for your burger. But if you want to make a burger where you really taste the meat, where you taste the burger, what you grind plays an incredibly important role. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 scenarios. We're going to grind 3 separate muscles and then do a taste test to see if we can really tell the difference between all 3. The first cut we're going to grind is a New York strip. So this is a full USDA prime boneless New York strip loin. You could make the argument this should absolutely not go into a grinder because when cut into steaks, these are phenomenal steaks. One of my favorite steaks, hands down. The next cut we're going to do is the peeled knuckle. This would be a cut you would not want to cut into steaks. It's very lean, very tough. It would do well in like a stir fry, a fajita meat, but not something you would cut into steaks. The peeled knuckle is kind of from like the femur right above the kneecap of the animal. So again, not a good cut for steaks. Because it's so lean for this experiment, we are going to add in some fat. So we're going to take a little bit of fat that we've cut from our ribeye steaks to just kind of get this to that 22% fat content. The third cut we're going to grind is a chuck roll. This is a USDA choice chuck roll. This is my favorite cut to grind, and this is actually what we use the most of for our grinding program. This one is kind of in between the other 2. Depending on who you talk to, some people say, yes, grind the chuck, that's its best use. Other people say, absolutely not, you can get phenomenal steaks from this piece of meat right here. So he's in the middle. We've got one that is absolutely do not grind, one that is definitely grind, and this guy's questionable. So let's go ahead, get them all trimmed up, and put them through the grinder. Final test. Now we see how the 3 different burgers taste. So recap, 3 different muscles used for these 3 different burgers. Cooked them all the same. We'll see how I did on the cooking side of things. Now we're going to taste them. I didn't do any seasoning. In terms of the taste test, we're bringing in Dad as the burger aficionado to help. And I guess we can just jump right in. I'd probably say start with the chuck because that's going to be my favorite. Crust on that. There you go. Okay, so don't say anything on that one. Let's try the other 2 and then compare. So that was chuck roll. Now let's do peeled knuckle. Now let's do the New York. Okay, what'd you think? Which one's your favorite? The New York?
This one noticeably better.
It was.
Yeah, I was really taken with that. I was surprised because that visually, that looked like it was going to be far drier.
That could have just been my shitty cooking.
Interesting. My take on this is that this tasted exactly like chuck. This one, even though it had the same fat content, the one with the peeled knuckle, tasted more like a a leaner ground sirloin. So
Yeah.
even though the fat content was there, something about the body of that cut took over. And this one presented far leaner, less flavorful, I guess,
Yeah.
than did that one.
I
But
think
of the three.
there was just more nuance in the chuck and the New York than the peeled knuckle. There was nothing wrong with that burger. Like maybe if you wanted to do crazy sauces or cheeses, that would be a good base. But if you want just like a good burger, I would probably go New York first, then chuck.
Try this again. Yeah, the chuck has the naturally good flavor of the chuck.
I mean, that's a really good burger.
Right.
The texture is amazing on it too.
All three of them are okay. I mean, this one's not bad. It's just it's dwarfed by these two.
Yeah.
Damn. How are we going to market a New York burger?
It's a New York burger. I thought it would be maybe a little bit better than the chuck, but not that much better. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this just reinforces that I'm happy we don't use peeled knuckle in our burger.
This, with all that extra work to create that fat level, still didn't hold a candle to that.
But if you're looking at it from a price point, this is the cheapest to produce by far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the concept of using the cheapest lean thing, and then you've got the fat, which is usually lost by adding it into it. But I just, that's surprising to me, because starting this, I would have thought that the flavor would have stepped up.
I mean, it probably did. If we did a peeled knuckle with no added fat to it, you'd probably have a noticeable difference. It didn't bring the peeled knuckle to the same stratosphere as the chuck and the New York. So we went into this experiment making the statement, not all burgers are created equal. And we kind of knew that this would happen at the end. We knew what the result would be. It's always crazy, though, to just do it again and see how different the flavor is. Again, fat content being the exact same. The only difference is going to be what muscles we used in that grind. And that one change is crazy for how much of a better quality burger you'll get when you use a better quality product.
And it just also pointed out that you can't force a lower quality cut by adding fat, even though fat is flavor. It didn't pick it up.
Cool. So at the end of the day, I'm happy.
Cool.
The end.